Hello, this is Matt from Argesk, and this is a video interview for Antichrist magazine. So, the first question, a short bit about the band name, and its meaning. So, as I said, we are Argesk. We are from Manchester in the UK, melodic black metal band, and we started in late 2017 around Halloween. We have an album, Realm of Eternal Night, out on Clubber Records, which came out last month.
Say hello. I'm Leth. I play keyboards in Argesk. So, the Argesk River flows through southern Romania into the Danube and towards the Black Sea. Others will give you different answers, but one of the potential meanings of Argesk is higher ground, and that's what I take from it.
In terms of the band name, we are named after the river Argesk in Romania. Within the Dracula mythos, this is where Elizabeta, Vlad's betrothed, drowned herself after believing him to be killed in battle. The K was an addition to mark us out as individual because there is already a death metal band with the name Argesk.
How are you passing the time in quarantine? I work. I also occasionally demolish bits of my own house. Next question. How could you describe the current situation with coronavirus in the United Kingdom? And what are your personal thoughts about this pandemic? So, life and health are very valuable and they're very difficult to keep hold of and should be treasured whenever possible. This virus and its economic fallout are disproportionately affecting those who have the least means to improve their situation. I mean, I'm lucky enough to be able to work from home, but if the options are to go out and risk your health or not put food on the table, you're going to go out into the world. Now, I don't have any great answers to these problems, but I think they should be recognised. Next question.
Okay, so number 2. How are you passing the time in quarantine? Well, personally, I've been working from home a lot of the time. I'm lucky enough to be able to do that since I have an office-based job. When I've not been working, I've been playing guitar. I've been writing new material for the band, been recording it at home and sending it to the other guys. I've also been exercising, taking up jogging and lifting weights. And really, that is about it. I've been listening to a lot of music as well, which I'll get onto later in the interview. So, number 3, how would I describe the current situation with coronavirus in the UK, and what are my thoughts on the pandemic? It's a bit shit, really. It's the UK's got the highest death toll in Europe at the moment, one of the highest in the world, I believe. I certainly think it could have been handled a lot better. I think we could have locked down sooner than we did. But they're my personal views and don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the band, although I've not really spoken to them about it, so it may well do. Yeah. So, number 4, about Realm of Eternal Night. So, Realm of Eternal Night is our debut album. It's the culmination of 2 years' work. The songs that are on the album have been written for about 2 years now. Liberare in Tenebrae was the first song we ever wrote, and we actually released that as a demo in 2018. That was recorded with our old guitarist, Toby, our old rhythm guitarist. The new album was recorded by Rick Simpson from Osterim, which is our drummer Bob's other band. He's put brilliant production on it. It sounds really professional. We're really pleased with how it's sounding. It's had some really positive reviews. It's done really well from Clubber Records' promotion of it. I'm really pleased with the album. It's the piece of work I'm most proud of being part of so far.
About Realm of Eternal Night. So, it's our debut album. It's released on Clubber Records. I'm highly proud of it. It took 2 years and multiple attempts at recording it from start to finish, but we got there. We've been performing this material since early 2018, and our time with it has shaped it into what you can hear today. Go take a listen. Next question. Behind the lyrics. No idea. Didn't write them. Can't even understand half of them. Next question.
About the lyrics. So I'm not going to go through the themes of the lyrics for every song on the album because we'd be here all day. But the themes that pervade the album are about self-liberation, about it being about sort of accepting yourself and rising above the dogmas of religion and society and walking your own path. It's greatly influenced by the philosophies of Anton LaVey and Aleister Crowley, both of which influenced my personal philosophy to a great extent. As well as that, there's a lot of fantasy themes in the lyrics. So with the title track, there's a lot of imagery inspired by Lord of the Rings, for example, the Tolkien universe. It's also inspired by natural landscapes, like the beauty of the cold north, mountains, dark forests, and we really want to transport the listener to these sort of places and landscapes. And we have that in common with a lot of other black metal bands. Other things to talk about with the lyrics. With the song In Their Image, that's a bit different to the rest of the album, in that it's more about the rise of artificial intelligence and the fact that it's eventually going to get to the point where it's more intelligent than humanity, and humanity is going to face quite a big crisis when that happens. People think it might be within the next 10 to 20 years, in fact. So it's about this artificial intelligence realising that it's actually above humanity and realising that it can just wipe humanity out and then doing so. So yeah, I guess that's self-liberation of a different kind. So there's that one. And then there's also Adversary. And Adversary is quite a personal one for me in terms of the lyrics, because it's about me essentially renouncing my Christian faith. I was brought up a Christian, and I was a Christian until I was about 16, 17 years old, when I started to question things. But this Adversary is basically an inversion of the Christian, I think catechism you might call it, where in church you might say, I renounce evil, I renounce sin, etc, etc. And the Adversary lyrics say, I renounce the ways of Christ, renounce eternal life, renounce you, etc. So it's a personal sort of renunciation of the beliefs that I used to have and no longer do. Drowned in Freezing Waters is about the it's about the story behind the river Argesk. It's about Elizabeth drowning herself in the freezing waters of the river, and that one was quite an interesting one to write, because it's more influenced by the Francis Ford Coppola film than it is by the book. I don't believe that the river is actually mentioned in the book. But yeah, I've always loved that film, so it wasn't a problem for me.
Behind the cover art. Choosing the cover art for a release is never an easy thing to do, but I think this is fitting. Artem Demura is very clearly a highly talented artist, and I think the art speaks for itself. Next question.
Right, so the next question. Behind the cover art, right? So the cover art is, I'm particularly pleased with it, and it blows my mind whenever I look at it. Really, I just like, wow, this is the cover of our album. It was done by an artist called Artem Demora, who lives in Russia, and also did artwork for a band called Malist, who you should definitely check out if you aren't familiar with them. They're a melodic black metal band from Russia. So I got in contact with Artem Demora on the internet after seeing their work on the In the Catacombs of Time album by Malist, and I was able to buy a piece of artwork from him, which we then ended up using. The formatting was done by Sylvester from Volnir, who you should also check out, another great band from the UK. And the photos, which are in the inlay of the album, were done by Jacob Kazara, who is a very talented photographer from the Wirral. So,
about cooperation with Clobber Records, and do you think it's important to have a label deal these days? So, Clobber have contributed greatly. I'm not saying we couldn't do this on our own, but I can't help but think that it wouldn't have gotten anywhere near the amount of attention if it hadn't been for Clobber. They have been brilliant from start to finish out of this. They're a lovely set of people, and that's all I'll say about that.
About cooperation with Clobber Records, and do I think it's important to have a label these days? Clobber Records have been brilliant to work with. They've been super enthusiastic about the album from day one. Been an absolute pleasure to work with them. Both two lovely people, really good taste in music, very professional. And they've really helped to get the album out there and promote it. So obviously that's what you want really from a label. Do I think it's important to have a label deal these days? I would say it depends on what you want to do. I'd say it really helps you to get your name out there. I've been in unsigned bands for quite a few years now, and it's very difficult to do it yourself without the backing of a label or group of some kind. You do get quite a lot of people supporting unsigned bands, and that's brilliant, but at the same time you do sometimes find yourself hitting a bit of a brick wall as an unsigned band when you're trying to get on bigger shows, bigger festivals, things like that. I mean, it is possible, but it's very difficult. So I would say if you're wanting to grow, then finding a label that is good for you and is within your scene and is right for you and offers you a good deal like Clobber did to us, I'd say, yeah, go for it.
About scheduled tours or gigs? None. Not at all. Literally hundreds of thousands of people are going to have lost their lives from this pandemic. Health is way too precious to risk over a few gigs. Once this entire situation is cleared up, though, we are going to be travelling far and wide. I mean, Antichrist magazine's in Lviv, right? I'd love to play Ukraine. If you can host us, get in touch. Next question.
So, about scheduled and postponed tours and gigs. Well, thankfully, we didn't actually have any tours booked when the pandemic all started to kick off. We did have a couple of gigs booked. There was one that we had booked for May, supporting Deus Mori with Steel Forge and Cadaver Soiree, and also Andraka, who are all friends of ours. And that ended up being cancelled, which was really disappointing. I was really looking forward to that. But hopefully we'll be able to do it once this is all over, and I look forward to it. We also do still technically have a gig booked for December, I believe it is. We're supporting a band called Devilish Impressions. with Necronautical, but obviously at the moment, with things being as they are, it's a little up in the air in terms of whether it goes ahead or not, so just keep your eye on the event page if you do plan on going, and once we can gig again, we will be promoting the hell out of it, so yeah, just keep an eye on the page.
Some epic or fail moments during live performance. So, the first gig was by far the worst. I play this live. It is an Ovation Mini Nova, and it is an absolutely gorgeous machine, but it definitely comes with a few foibles, shall we say. So this is the first gig we've ever played. We were about to play our last song, Realm, and this bloody thing decided to change its transpose settings. The song was a cacophonous sack of manure, and it's recorded for all posterity. Our entire first gig's on YouTube. Go and have a look at it. Next.
Some epic and fail moments during live performance. Okay, so I'll start off with the epic ones. I've really enjoyed supporting Akakoka in particular. They were fantastic live and really sound to talk to as well. Same with Ghostbath and Mole. They were awesome. It was great to support Enthroned as well, and in fact, because our drummer Bob used to be in Hecate Enthroned, who toured with them back in the 90s, they actually remembered Bob from back then, so that was really nice. It was recently, we also played a gig called For Martyr, and that was in honour of our friend who passed away late last year. And she was a good friend of mine, so it was very cathartic for me to be able to play that particular one. In terms of fail moments, probably the biggest ones for me would be when we played Metal to the Masses last year. We started the song Lord of the Boundless Void, and my effects pedal was on the wrong setting, so my guitar tone ended up sounding more like Nirvana than a black metal guitar tone. So yeah, we had to just basically stop the song and just restart it. And that is actually on video, but yeah, it was fine. Just sort of had a laugh about it. Similar thing happened at Manchester Death Feast that we played last September. And once again, it was something I did. So as we were playing one of our songs, I was walking around on the stage as I do, and I ended up kicking a cable out of Let's Keyboard by accident. So we had no keyboards, and again we had to just like stop the song. But thankfully we laughed it off, and I just like went black metal bloopers and just made everyone laugh. So I think we recovered from it quite well.
Recent heavy music album that's impressed you a lot, and why? Now, believe it or not, I actually don't listen to that much heavy music. My music library's mostly electronic. That said, we have moved in the same circles as a lot of really impressive bands. Go listen to Deus Mori and Andraka, and you'll see what I mean. In terms of actual heavy music, most recently it's probably Mortis's Spirits of Rebellion, which is a remake of the dungeon synth masterpiece Ondun Sumgyor Upror. I fucking love that guy's work. Absolutely. All of his music. Love it. Next
question. Recent heavy music that impressed you and why? There's absolutely loads I could mention at the moment. I think the UK scene in particular is really strong right now. Some new releases that have really impressed me have been the new Ninkar Sag. I think they're brilliant. They're like a lot like Dissection. There's also Old Corpse Road. They've got an album out. And that's really good. My copy's on the way at the moment. Burial, the new Burial is awesome. They're also from Manchester like us. The new Deus Mori, another Manchester black metal band. They've got an EP out. came out a couple of months ago. It's a real step up from the last one, and I actually reviewed it for my blog, Obsidian Reviews. So you can check out my review if you Google Obsidian Reviews Deus Mori. There's also Cryptic Shift. They are a progressive death/thrash metal band, again from the UK, and their new album is brilliant. The opening track is 25 minutes long, and it's like a sort of space epic. There's a lot of influence from Rush in there. So if you like progressive death metal, definitely give that a go. Okay, so the next question, last question actually, is the plans for the near future. So the immediate future, I'm just going to keep writing new material. We've got one song completely written, and we've actually been playing it live before the pandemic happened. We've also got 4 more songs in the works. I've just been recording some guitar for a new song just at home, sending to the guys. So I'm just going to keep doing that, sending songs to them, and hopefully we'll get more material to practice the hell out of once we're out of lockdown. We're definitely going to be rehearsing a shitload afterwards, and we're going to be going out for drinks because I've not seen those guys in ages. So yeah, that's the immediate plans. Oh, and tour the album as well. Definitely just gig as much as we can, get on great shows, do some tours, and yeah, hopefully we'll be back to all that soon.
The whole plans for the near future: get through this shit, write more music, probably sing a bit more, and tour. Yeah, tour. Might eventually fix this shit as well. I think that's done.
Yeah, so that's it. That's all the questions. So thanks very much for the interview, and thank you for supporting Argesk. Thanks very much.